Could this be the end of an era for US trade? What shocking move did Canada just make that has the world in a state of panic? How will this unexpected turn of events impact global markets and the future of international trade? Stay tuned as we uncover Canada's unthinkable actions and their potential to unravel US trade like never before. The current epic economic conflict between the United States and Canada has the potential to permanently alter North American trade patterns. Following Canada's drastic trade restrictions and the rapid redirection of energy exports to China, the US auto industry has been rocked by shockwaves. As the story unfolds, the Canadian energy industry is undergoing a significant transformation. For decades, the US had essentially exclusive access to Canadian heavy crude oil, purchasing nearly 98% of Canadian exports. This mutually beneficial partnership served as the cornerstone of the energy trade in North America. However, 2024 marked a sea change that few had anticipated. Alberta's energy exports to China reached $2 billion, a five-fold increase over the previous year. Why? For the first time, Canadian oil was able to make it to Asian coasts thanks to the long-awaited completion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline project. Heavyweights like Canadian Natural Resources, Suncor Energy, and Cenovus Energy are reaping the benefits. The latter has set a goal of increasing production by 12% by 2025. With Donald Trump back in the White House, Washington has taken notice of this strategic change. Trump reacted quickly and fiercely. Citing border control and national security justifications, his government applied a 25% general tariff on Canadian goods under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Although fentanyl smuggling and illegal immigration were mentioned in the official explanation, most observers think this is a direct reaction to Canada's growing energy partnership with China. Canada's response is extremely explosive. The Trudeau administration imposed retaliatory tariffs on $107 billion worth of US exports, with the auto industry bearing the brunt of these measures. An economic earthquake rather than another trade war threatens to rock one of the world's most integrated manufacturing networks. The statistics paint a bleak picture. In 2023 alone, Canada imported $429.6 billion worth of goods, making it the third largest trading partner of the United States. Now, when Mexican trade is taken into account, trade worth about $1 trillion is at stake. The auto industry, with its complex global supply lines, is at the heart of this economic conflict. American automakers were instantly and severely impacted. According to estimates, these tariffs can raise the cost of production per vehicle by $8,000 to $10,000. Large manufacturers like General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis are scrambling to make changes as facility closures and mass layoffs are a very real possibility. Wall Street has taken notice as auto stocks plummet and investors prepare for long-term instability. The political environment is just as volatile. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced that he will resign in March to make room for a new leader in response to intense domestic pressure. By calling for emergency elections, Ontario Premier Doug Ford has positioned his administration as a safeguard against Trump's assertive trade policies. Mexico, on the other hand, is ready to join Canada's economic revolution. There is a genuine risk of a three-way trade war, which might lead to the continent's long-term economic collapse. According to experts, the tendency alone might result in the loss of over 250,000 auto factory line jobs in the United States within a year. The crisis has long-term effects in addition to its immediate financial impact. According to consumer watchdogs, middle and low-income families would bear the brunt of the burden. Rising auto expenses and a lack of viable public transportation options may make millions of Americans less mobile and have fewer professional choices. The crisis is volatile because of its energy component. According to reports, Trump's administration is about to take more action against Canadian crude oil exports because it sees Canada-China energy partnerships as a danger to national interests. American refineries that rely on Canadian heavy oil to continue operating may experience catastrophic interruptions if these limitations are implemented. Severe effects will be felt in the global oil markets. Canadian oil companies now have more negotiating leverage than ever before since they can buy China as a backup buyer. Large companies are already stepping up as Canadian Natural Resources raises capital expenditures by 13.5%. The new LNG Canada project will significantly diversify Canada's energy export choices. The consumer shock is already being felt in North America. Supply chains are full, auto prices are soaring, and the cost of everything from food to spare parts is rising. In both countries, protests are starting as people struggle with economic uncertainty and growing living expenses. The future is not definite. Some experts believe Trump's uncompromising approach may backfire as American voters respond to rising petrol costs and economic instability. Others caution that Canada's growing energy alliance with China may trigger an even more severe response from the United States. There are many stakes. This is about the future of North American economic unity, not trade or energy. The choices made over the next few months will impact millions of lives on both sides of the border, shape continental trade, and influence global energy markets. As this fury develops, both countries seem headed for a protracted standoff. Canada has shown that it is prepared to cause economic harm to protect its interests, even if there are no indications that the Trump administration would give in. How bad it gets before one side blinks is now the question, not if there will be injury. There are stakes outside of North America. As its influence spreads into Canadian energy markets, China is keeping a careful eye on things. The world is waiting for the global oil market as long-standing trade patterns are redrawn. Other trading partners of the United States are keeping a careful eye on how this fight can affect global trade. Nothing will ever be the same in North America's economic environment. As the US copes with the fallout from aggressive protectionism and Canada assumes its role in trade relations and energy markets, we see the potential for decades of interconnected economies to fade. It will be enlightening over the next several months. Will Trump focus on Canadian oil to intensify the fight? Will the race to China intensify in the upcoming chapter? Will North America's integrated auto industry withstand this shock? The answers to these concerns will determine the direction of global trade in the years to come and the future of trade between the United States and Canada. As this economic drama unfolds, one thing is becoming increasingly obvious. The days of automatic economic cooperation between the United States and Canada are over. For years to come, the impact of the new chapter being written in North American trade relations will be felt far beyond our borders. Despite the aggressive language on both sides, there are still ways to prevent this crisis. Trade negotiators are undoubtedly trying to find a solution behind the scenes. According to some experts, a short-term postponement of tariffs or certain exceptions could be a tactic to defuse the situation. Another possible outcome is industry-led adaptation. Businesses will try to find ways to lessen the impact of tariffs, such as switching supply chains or finding other suppliers. However, since this kind of reform takes time to implement, uncertainty will continue in the immediate term. Ultimately, the future of trade in North America is determined by political will. If leaders on both sides see the greater economic stakes and look for areas of agreement, a solution might be achieved before irreparable harm is done. But if this dispute keeps going in its current direction, it could change economic relations for decades to come. What started as a trade disagreement quickly became a bigger conflict over economic supremacy and national priorities. While Canada's shift to China starts a new chapter in its trade strategy, the United States' forceful response highlights how vulnerable North American economic integration is. The upcoming months will reveal a lot. Will the US ratchet up its rhetoric further? Will Canada's relations with China improve? What will Mexico do? To put it simply, how will the typical person in both nations fare during the economic slump? One thing is for sure, the days of good economic relations between the United States and Canada are over. What replaces them is unknown. Will Canada's bold move forever change the landscape of international trade? As the world braces for its impact, only time will tell how the United States and the global market will adapt. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this unfolding story. See you in the next video.